When are we going to accept that Kamala Harris was always right, no matter how you feel about her, no matter how you feel about her being a vice president, no matter how you feel about her morality, her skill set, no matter how you feel about her as a person? Kamala Harris was always right. And every step that Donald Trump has taken, she not only predicted, she said it would happen, and she gave us a play-by-play on the other options in case he wouldn't even do that one.
A new wave of debate is erupting across the country as tensions rise between MAGA voters and those who didn't support Donald Trump. This time, the spotlight is turning back to past warnings from Kamala Harris, statements that, at the time, were praised by some and dismissed by others. Now, those same claims are being pulled back into the conversation, raising new questions. Were they overlooked too quickly, misunderstood, or are people only now beginning to take a second look in light of recent developments? In this video, you'll hear reactions from across the country, real voices, personal perspectives, and the stories behind this growing uproar. Because in today's political climate, even past words can take on new meaning, and the debate over what was said and what it meant is far from over.
Sorry, but can somebody come on this app and tell me that Kamala Harris didn't predict all the shit that's going on right now? Can you tell me honestly that that woman did not warn us that where we are right now was where we were going to be if we elected Donald Trump? The jobs numbers just came out. 22,000 jobs added. 360 million people. We added 22,000 jobs. That's even softer than soft. Like, we are headed for a recession. The tariffs are crippling us. We are on the brink of war with several countries. Donald Trump and the Epstein list are raging in the news. Can you tell me what Kamala Harris was wrong about? All you people who didn't want a strong black lady in office, God damn it. Like, I don't know what else to say. You wanted to vote against Kamala Harris because she was what? Black? Because she was what? A woman? And now we're left with an old, wrinkled orange bag of garbage who is sinking this country into an ever-loving recession. Like, shit, the prices are just going up and up and up. So many people wanted to bitch about prices and say, oh, I don't like Biden because of the prices. I'm voting for Trump. What prices have gone down? Because I'm looking at the prices of meat, I'm looking at the prices of coffee, I'm looking at the prices of everything, and they have skyrocketed. American businesses are suffering because of tariffs. People can't afford to buy homes. Childcare, astronomical. I don't understand what you could tell me right now that has been better, because Donald Trump is now our president and Kamala Harris warned us of every single thing. So if you voted for Kamala Harris, thank you. If you voted for Donald Trump,
we thought Kamala Harris and them were lying when they were talking about the 2026 project, 2025 project about Trump becoming a dictator, overtaking the free speech and using the military to come police states.
Remember when she said this?
He is saying that he would use the military to go after them.
And then they told you that it was a lie?
That they are now talking about deploying 1,500 military.
She warned us.
We thought he was lying when they presented that plan, and he said it was fake news.
There was one person who predicted all of this, and people said she was lying, or that she had Trump derangement syndrome, that she did not know what she was talking about. But it has all come to pass that she was exactly right.
Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power.
And she was 100% right. But she's a woman, she's black. Can't have that.
He does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally. One that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States. In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within, and even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens. And let's be clear about who he considers to be the enemy from within. Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify, in his mind, as the enemy within, like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials. I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people, knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Kamala Harris was always right. When are we going to accept that Kamala Harris was always right, no matter how you feel about her, no matter how you feel about her being a vice president, no matter how you feel about her morality, her skill set, no matter how you feel about her as a person? Kamala Harris was always right. And every step that Donald Trump has taken, she not only predicted, she said it would happen, and she gave us a play-by-play on the other options in case he wouldn't even do that one. Kamala Harris predicted the war. Kamala Harris predicted what he would do in the first 100 days when he got in office. Kamala Harris predicted how he would take government jobs and he would tear down the government officials. Kamala Harris literally predicted what he would do with immigration. Every single step, every single move, down to the detailed points. She knew everything was going to happen the way that he said it was going to happen, and people still voted for him. That in itself not only deserves praise, but it also deserves a level of understanding and empathy, because we have to remember, no one else was calling Donald Trump on his bullshit even at that time. Now everybody is having revelations. Some people need to start saying thank you and accepting the fact.
One of the things that is happening now is virtually everything we're seeing right now. Somebody predicted everything this Trump administration is doing right now was already foretold. People knew it. And to the nth degree, they're telling you what happened.
Under our present president, you said he would prosecute his political enemies. He would cut Medicaid, Medicare. He would ignore court orders. He would alienate our allies. He would give massive tax cuts to the rich.
Remember what they did to tear families apart. And now they have pledged to carry out the largest deportation, a mass deportation in American history. Imagine what that would look like and what that would be. How's that going to happen? Massive raids? Massive detention camps? What are they talking about?
Another interesting phenomenon is that 92% of black women who voted, 85% of black men who voted for Harris. Also, the largest percentage of white people, college-educated white people, voted the same way. And that is because nobody knows this kind of white dude like black people. We didn't go to school to do it. We didn't have classes to do it. We watched him, and we had grandfathers and fathers and mothers who watched him. This is not new. This is retro. This is all something we've seen before. Different packages, different technology. How is it that black people that had the same voting structure as educated white dude? How is it a dude that went to Harvard voted the same way as a dude who lived on Harvard? It is because there is no greater expert on white dudes like this than black people. And not because we went to school, like I said earlier, it's because we've seen it. We saw history. College educated white people learned it. And the best indicator of what somebody will do is what they have done. That's history. That's what they have done.
From past speeches to today's headlines, many people are now looking back and reassessing what was said and what it might actually mean in the present moment. Remarks from figures like Kamala Harris, once debated in a different context, are being revisited through a new lens, especially as conversations around Donald Trump and his supporters continue to evolve. For some, this re-examination is planting new doubts, questions about judgment, foresight, and whether earlier warnings should have been taken more seriously. For others, it's doing the opposite, reinforcing beliefs they've held all along and giving them a sense of validation. What these voices ultimately show is why this debate is gaining fresh attention. Because when past statements collide with present-day realities, people don't just listen. They reassess, they react, and they begin to draw new conclusions about what it all means now.
We would not be at war with Iran if Kamala Harris was president. We would still be friends with Canada if Kamala Harris was president. Greenland would not have armed itself against us if Kamala Harris was president. We would not currently have a measles outbreak if Kamala Harris was president. Military strike plans would not have been leaked to the press if Kamala Harris was president. The files would not have been illegally redacted if Kamala Harris was president. Hundreds of thousands of African babies would not be dying of AIDS if Kamala Harris was president. You would not be paying 10 to 20% more on every single item if Kamala Harris was president. You would not have to worry about the midterm elections being stolen if Kamala Harris was president. You would not need to worry about the 2028 election being stolen if Kamala Harris was president. You would not need to worry about Kamala Harris seeking a third term. Kamala Harris would not have started a crypto scam for millions of dollars if she was the president. Kamala Harris would not have accepted gifts worth millions of dollars if she was the president. Clips of us bombing innocent civilians would not be posted on the White House Twitter if Kamala Harris was president. A podcaster would not be the head of the FBI if Kamala Harris was president. The leader of the Health and Human Services Department would have a medical degree if Kamala Harris was president. There would be no Fox News hosts in the cabinet if Kamala Harris was president. ICE would not be popping protesters in the street if Kamala Harris was president. Elon Musk would not have stolen your data if Kamala Harris was president. The United States would be investing in clean energy if Kamala Harris was president. Donald Trump would be in jail if Kamala Harris was president.
Had we just elected the black lady with the silk press, had we just elected Big Sister General, had we just elected the black lady with the weird laugh, had we just elected Madam the wheels on the bus go round and round, we would not be at war with Iran right now. And I know what some of y'all are thinking. Joshua, why are you screaming? Joshua, how many times you gonna say this? I'm gonna keep saying it until it finally clicks. Because folks, this was an open book test. Not only was this an open book test, the professor was at the board giving the answers and we failed. And now we have 4 dead Americans as a result. We have F-15 fighter jets being shot out of the sky by friendly fire. Had we just elected the black lady with the weird laugh, folks would have money to purchase their first home. The American people would have quality health care. We would not be at war with Iran, spending billions of dollars of taxpayer money that has not been approved by Congress to fund this war. So I'm going to keep saying it, and I'm going to keep screaming it until the American people finally understand. If you could have just set your racism and your sexism aside and voted for Kamala Harris, we would be in a better position today.
Kamala Harris attended Reverend Jesse Jackson's funeral yesterday on Friday, March 6th. And when she took to the stage and got on that mic, she says, now I'm normally not a person that say, I told you so.
Let me just say, I predicted a lot about what's happening right now. I'm not into saying I told you so, but we did see it coming.
In other words, like she said, she predicted that all of this, what is going on today, it would happen. So are y'all mad because she was right? I know there will probably be some haters and some crazy folks that get in this comment section of this video. Baby, say what you want to say. Think what you want to think. But like she said, or we can say it for her, she told you so, and you didn't listen. So yeah, everything that she said, I know it's hard for you to admit it, but she was right.
Kamala Harris was right about everything.
He will target and punish those who disagree with him or refuse to bend to his will. He calls these Americans the enemy within and says that he would use the American military to go after American citizens. Journalists whose stories he doesn't like. Nonpartisan election officials who refuse to cheat by finding a few extra votes for him. Judges who insist on following the law instead of following him. It is for reasons like these that General Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Donald Trump's top general, has called Trump, and I quote, fascist to the core. And it is clear Donald Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged and will stop at nothing to claim unchecked power for himself.
If the right to do anything I want to do, I'm the President of the United States.
I would like to propose that anytime one of you little maggots opens your mouth and says, oh, I didn't vote for this, you must immediately follow it with the phrase, Kamala was right. Because if you didn't vote for this, then she was right, because she told you all this was going to happen. I mean, we all did, but I don't personally need any credit. Let's just give the credit where it's deserved. Kamala was right. So, little maggot, when you open your mouth and say, oh, I didn't vote for this, don't forget to add in that key phrase, Kamala was right. Have the day you voted for.
And everything that we go through with this administration, I'm going to keep saying this. Kamala was right. You can disagree if you want, but I'm going to say it again. Kamala was right. The black woman, she was right. Everything that this man is doing, Kamala said it. And I'm also going to say, she really did win. I'm going to say that over and over again. Kamala was right. People did not listen. The book was open, and you skipped through everything that she said and still decided to go the other way.
Kamala Harris was right about everything. Russia is giving information to Iran. Russia is giving information to Iran about U.S. warships, aircraft, other assets in the region. U.S. intelligence knows this. Kamala Harris said that these dictators would eat Trump for breakfast or for lunch, whatever. And MAGA laughed at her, and MAGA acted like their God King is this tough businessman who can strike deals with anyone. And Trump has always said Putin is his, that they have a good relationship, they're buddies, acting like he knows how to control him. No, it's the other way around. Putin knows how to control Trump, and he always has. And when Trump was asked about the U.S., when he was asked about Russia giving information to Iran, his response was, "What a stupid question. What a stupid question." Are we great yet, MAGA? Is this America first?
The election was almost a year ago, which was so fucking crazy. I cannot believe that we have suffered through almost an entire year of Donald Trump again. And I was thinking today, like, what could we have had? Like a year ago today, I remember being so filled with hope. I was like this close to being proud to be an American again. And then she lost. But what did Kamala Harris have to say this time last year? Like, what could we have had? Let's take a look together, shall we?
On day one, Donald Trump would walk into that office with an enemies list. You know, he talks about the enemies from within. When I am elected, I will walk in with a to-do list focused on your needs. And at the top of my list is bringing down your cost of living. That will be my focus every single day as president. I will give a middle-class tax cut to over 100 million Americans. We will enact the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging on groceries.
What are you guys right about now?
We will fight to make sure hardworking Americans can actually afford a place to live. And if any of you out there are caring for an elderly parent, well, my plan will cover the cost of home care under Medicare so that seniors can get the help and care they need to stay in their own homes. It's about dignity. It's about dignity. And my plan will lower the cost of childcare, cut taxes for small businesses. Do we have any small business owners here? I love our small businesses.
No, it doesn't.
My plan will lower
Donald
healthcare
Trump.
costs because, by the way, I believe access to healthcare should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. It's about values. On the other hand, Donald Trump's answer to the financial pressures you face, well, it's the same as it was last time. Another $1 trillion in tax cuts for billionaires and big corporations. Right. And this time, he will pay for it with a 20% national sales tax on everything you buy that is imported. Clothes, food, toys, cell phones. A Trump sales tax would cost the average American family nearly $4,000 more a year. And on top of that, you would pay even more if Donald Trump finally gets his way and gets rid of the Affordable Care Act. Remember how many times he's tried to do that? And you're booing because if he were successful, it would throw millions of Americans off of their health insurance and take us back to when insurance companies could deny people with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was like? Well, we are not going back.
Oof, how did we fumble the bag so fucking hard? Was she a perfect candidate? Absolutely not. But show me one. Show me a perfect candidate. Helen Keller would have been a better candidate than Donald Trump, but she's not even real.
You know, folks, one of the most frustrating parts about this whole thing in Iran is sitting and watching the timeline and seeing all of the clips resurface of Donald Trump talking and speaking against war, claiming to be the no more wars president, claiming to be the peace president, hearing all the MAGA influencers parrot what he said, and then going back and listening to Kamala Harris and other Democrats and other people and other influencers warn us about what Donald Trump would do. You know, people said we were being hyperbolic. People said we were trying to create hysteria. People said we were just trying to create clickbait. But I don't know about you all. When I was watching the debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, I was sitting there saying to myself then, she's 100% right here. She's spot on. This is what's going to happen. I'm glad people like Andrew Schultz are starting to come around, the bro podcaster. I'm glad he's starting to see through it. I'm glad other people are starting to see through it. But we saw through it long before Kamala said it right here. Thank you.
And the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people
Vice President
to stop
Harris,
him.
thank you. There it was. Everything she said then, we knew it would happen, and it has happened. So to everyone that said we were being hyperbolic, there it is. And look at what's going on. Everything she said has come true. And to me, that's one of the hardest parts about it. But here she was. It wouldn't. And again, we saw through it actually in the first term. Okay, we saw through it when he came down the damn escalator. But here's Kamala in 2019, warning of what's happening today.
As far as I'm concerned, this president is motivated by his personal insecurities more than he is our national security. And so what we're looking at is, again, a threat that might be taken seriously. And I would dare to say that that threat was issued without serious consultation with our allies, with our military leaders, with our diplomatic leaders. What are our alternatives? Let's also be clear, if this president is thinking about putting us in a position where we're in a war with Iran, the consequences will be absolutely unacceptable and tragic in terms of the young men and women who are American soldiers who would be sent and deployed into something that was completely avoidable.
This whole thing was completely avoidable, and that's why it's so...
The reactions you've heard today highlight just how quickly political narratives can shift and how past statements can take on entirely new meaning over time. What was once debated in one moment can resurface in another, reshaped by new events and new perspectives. For some MAGA voters, this moment is prompting reflection, a closer look at what was said before and how it connects to what's happening now. For others, it's doing the opposite, reinforcing their stance and strengthening the beliefs they've held from the start, especially when it comes to figures like Donald Trump and the broader political landscape. What's clear is that the conversation around leadership, accountability, and public trust is far from settled. If anything, it's evolving in real time, and these perspectives show just how divided opinions remain across the country, where the same set of facts can lead to very different conclusions, depending on who you ask and what they value most.
Hello everyone, I'm Nobu and welcome to the channel. A lot of people are revisiting old speeches and campaign warning from former Vice President Kamala Harris and saying something surprising. She warned everyone. In this video, supporters of Harris argued that many of the problems happening under Donald Trump were predicted during the campaign, from rising prices and economic struggles to mass deportation, political declaration, and growing division in the country. At the time, critics dismissed those warnings as fear-mongering or Trump derangement syndrome. But now, some voters, including former Trump supporters, are questioning whether Harris was actually right all along. Personally, I think what happened right now is forcing people to confront reality. A lot of voters ignored the warning because they assumed Trump's second presidency would somehow be calmer or more focused on everyday people. But instead, people are talking about higher costs, political chaos, threats against opponents, and policy that merely help the wealthy. And whether people like Kamala Harris or not, you can't deny that many of the concerns she raised are now part of everyday political conversation. I also think some people underestimated how serious Trump was when he talked about revenge, loyalty, and going after critics. A lot of that rhetoric is no longer hypothetical. That's why this conversation is getting louder online. Politics isn't just about slogan or loyalty, it's about consequences. And now, a lot of people are asking themselves a simple question: what if Kamala Harris was warning the country for a reason? Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more political commentaries, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.